It's your boy Frankie on football here. Listen, a lot happened over the weekend, man, especially in the football world. So we're gonna get right into it. As we all know, unless you've been living under a rock, the college selections were made uh, this weekend for the playoffs. Who's gonna be playing in the Natty? Who's in? Who's out? The committee have made their selections, and yes, as we all know by now, Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama will be playing for a shot at the title, leaving UGA and Florida State looking from the outside in. Okay, so uh, the big controversy, right? Florida State being 13 and 0, not losing a game. Uh, everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people feel committee made the right choice by putting the best four teams in the playoffs. Then there's some people like myself that's like, what does the record say though? And there's no way that an undefeated 13 and 0 team, Power 5 ranking team, should be left out of a playoff contention. So, uh, what I'm hearing from a lot of people, the injury to starting quarterback Jordan Travis was the deciding factor. Um, FSU just haven't been playing up to par their last couple of games, been struggling with lesser teams. And it just looks like we're headed for another disaster of a playoff run with them in there offensively. And it's just not exciting to see. Uh, I'm going to make this full disclaimer. I am not a big fan of college football, never have been. However, I do watch from time to time. Not an avid watcher, but I do watch from time to time. The thing is, I don't have to be an avid watcher to know right from right and wrong from wrong, right? I don't have to be an avid watcher when we have this thing called the eye test, okay? And um, I believe what you are doing when you say when you say a team doesn't have a shot and win, all right, to prove themselves worthy of being of having a spot, and what you're doing is predetermining their fate for them. You're saying essentially this team has no shot with a third string, and you're making that assumption for them and doing what's good for business. Deion Sanders, prime time, Coach Prime, he says people forget that at the end of the day, this is a business. Now, listen, if most you college fans out there would admit that part of it, that it's just a business and this is just a money grab, then I think my argument will be over. Because instead, what you guys are doing is trying to convince us all that this is right, right? By saying the committee made the right decision. They did not. There's a team that's undefeated, and despite what happened to their quarterback, still deserves a shot at the championship. Would it have been the worst decision to make for the committee for them to put all undefeated teams in there and the best of the one loss teams grabbing the final spot? Would that have been the worst thing to do? Or is that just too much like right? All right. I understand there's certain dynamics that come along with it. And even one of the deciding factors, it actually says it um, in their decision making that any injuries to a key player that affects the performance of the team leading into the playoffs could affect their decisions. I don't care that it's in the rule book. My argument is that that's whack, right? And for me, as a person, as a fan of the game, I feel that that's whack. I'm saying to myself, thank God such a system and such a committee doesn't exist in the NFL, because if it did, then we wouldn't know the likes of Kurt Warner's, We wouldn't know the Jeff Hostetler's of the world. We wouldn't know the Nick Foles of the world. Shit, the Tom Brady's of the world. And I'm naming all backup quarterbacks that have won championships, by the way, if you're not catching my drift. Shit, we are witnessing the greatness of a third string, not only a third string, but the last draft pick of the entire draft, Mr. Irrelevant and Brock Purdy, tear up the league right now. Apply the same logic that the committee has to the NFL, and we don't know any of those faces. We just completely write them off beforehand and not even give them a shot. You can't tell me, look at the reaction of those FSU players when they got the selection, when they heard the selection. You can't tell me that they weren't heartbroken. And that they were in the state of, oh, you know what? Shit, we don't have Jordan Travis, so good. I didn't want to play for the Natty anyway. None of those kids felt like that. All those kids felt like they deserved a shot. And they did. And here comes, Saban with the whole, proverbial rhetoric. Oh, unfortunately, a good team is going to be left out. Shit, that good team should have been you. You got one loss, and it's against Texas, so it's understandable why they're in if you're going to put a one-loss team in there. And all of FSU has struggled with their opponents as of late, and nobody wants to see that. And forget what anybody wants to see. Who deserves to be there should be the only deciding factor. And FSU struggled. Okay, but their defense sustained. So, okay. So if their defense held up, what we're virtually saying is, I'm sorry, I know defense wins championships, but that's not exciting. And again, not an avid watcher, but let's not act like Bama is just blowing cats out. They won by 3 against Georgia, and they were actually a Hail Mary away against Auburn from even being in this conversation. All right. But my point in mentioning that is from week to week, we do not know what can happen. You can be a Hail Mary away from being completely out of it, or you can beat the best team in the country the next week. From week to week, performances matter. You just can't assume FSU has struggled with Louisville and yada, yada, yada. So they're going to definitely struggle with one of these other top-ranked teams. Any given Sunday should apply to college too. Any given Saturday. Anything can happen. All right. So I Booger McFarlane, I can go down the laundry list of names of people I concur with. This is not good. I don't know what it's teaching the kids. Hey, listen, go to a bigger program because they're the ones that's gonna. If you're looking to get a natty, there's only certain programs that they're gonna be looking at. I mean, great. Thankfully, that's gonna change next year when they put the 12 in. But man, oh man, I know people are like, yo, stop crying or whatever. But again, I'm not a college fan, so I don't have a horse in the race. I'm just saying what's right is right. So in my opinion, the best, all the undefeated teams should have gotten through, and the last spot should have been reserved for the best one-loss team, in which would have been Texas. So it literally should have been Michigan, Washington, FSU, Texas. Like Deion says, you're not going to keep an SEC team out of the playoff run. It's just bad for business. And I get it. And I wish most of y'all would admit that too instead of acting like this is a right decision. It's not about, I know for you, some of you, it's not about what's right and it's about what's business. Well, just say that. And then I can turn on WWE if I'm going to watch something that's already scripted. So, again, like always, I know a lot of you are going to disagree with me because I've been hearing it all weekend. But it's just my opinions, man. We don't predetermine another team's fate because you never know what the outcome will be. All right. So, that'll do it. Let me know, as always, what you think. Leave a comment under, curse me out, whatever you want to do, or agree with me. Whatever it is, it's all love. But that'll do it. I'm out of here. Peace.